Okay, Prabhu, now you can start.
Hare Krishna, welcome to our Wednesday Krishna Katha. I will start with Jai Radha Madhav, then Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then some Mangalachan prayers, and then we'll start our session. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava
প্রভু একটু ভলিউমটা বেশি করুন, ভলিউমটা একটু বেশি।
Jaya Kunja. Is it okay now?
আরেকটু বেশি।
Okay. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Yes. So, how is it now, Prabhu? Is it better?
I think if you come closer to the mic, I think it will be better.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me now? Is it
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Sorry for the.
No.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Kapijana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Krishna Premanande, Hare Hare Bol. So we will go ahead with the Mangalachan prayers. Prabhu, just cross-checking if the sound and my voice, everything is okay. Ashramata Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Your voice is okay. Little bit, if you can make it little bit more, I think it should be fine.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've given it to maximum. Is it better now?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshuru Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapidam Jena Bhutale Shamrupa Kadamayam Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Shagrajatam Shagana Raghunatanitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shagana Lalita Sri Vishakhavitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanto Radha Kanto Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kepashundabheva Patitanam Pavanebha Vaishnavebha Nama Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ajanulambita Bhujo Kanaka Madato Sankirtanaiko Pitaro Kamalaya Takaksho Vishambharo Dijabaro Jugodharma Palo Bande Jagat Priyo Karo Karunavatara Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So I will start it by presenting something. Just give me a minute so that I can present the material before we start the discussion. So we will speak on chapter 12 today. And on chapter 12, there are some specific verses which we will discuss. So just give me a minute. I will start presenting. Prabhu, can you see my screen? Or anybody else who is in the call, can you confirm if you can see the screen?
No, it's not visible.
No, Prabhu, we cannot see your screen. Oh, now we can.
You can?
No. We cannot share. So you have to share the screen, Prabhu.
Okay, yes. Just a minute. Okay, yeah, I'm going to Zoom and then share it then. Okay, Prabhu, you'll have to give me co-host access. I think because I logged in again.
You are already your co-host. Let me check again, but I think you are co-host already. Oh,
I logged in again, right? So, and that's why it was.
Oh, you logged in again. Okay, yes. Now you are co-host. Yes.
Oh, thank you. So I will share my screen. Let me know if you can see the screen. Yeah, is it now audible?
Yes, we can see your screen and it is audible also.
Okay. So just let me share the slide. Yeah, can you see the slide now?
Yes, Prabhu, we can see.
Okay. And if you can, you please confirm if you're seeing like Bhagavad Gita as it is.
Bhagavad Gita as it is, yeah, chapter 12, devotional service, and there is a picture also in there.
Okay, thank you. So yes, we'll talk about chapter 12 today. I thought it's Janmashtami coming, so why not let's discuss a little bit about devotional service to Lord Krishna. So as you see the picture I chose, is Krishna is running towards Bhishmadev with a bill. And why he's doing that? You know, he's taking care of both of his devotees. Bhishmadev had a desire to see that Krishna breaking his vow of never taking a weapon in the Kurukshetra war. So Lord Krishna, he broke that vow just for Bhishmadev. He actually, though it is not a weapon, but still he took, as you see, a will from a cart to, kill Bhishmadev because he was very angry, as we can see. And Arjuna is holding his leg. So Arjuna is pleading him not to kill Bhishmadev because that's a disgrace to Arjuna, and also because Arjuna was supposed to be the fighter and he's supposed to actually help Bhishmadev with his next life. Just if we see kind of perspective of how Krishna arranged the battle. But we see that since Arjuna was lenient a little bit and he was feeling affection for Bhishmadev and he was not doing his duty, so Krishna became very angry when Bhishmadev was killing all the soldiers on the Pandava armies. And he said, either you kill Bhishmadev or I am going to kill him. And see, Bhishmadev was so happy because he always appreciates Lord's Vira Rasa form. And he's in that mood actually. There are, in Nectar of Devotion, it's mentioned there are 6 primary rasas, then there are certain secondary rasas. And so Vira Rasa is one of them. So Bhishmadev is actually in that rasa. And Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord. Krishna also wanted to save him because Vishmadev was the way he was charging upon the Pandavas, and Arjuna was not fighting 100%. So that way he wanted to save Arjuna's reputation, and also at the same way he wanted to please Vishnu. So Lord Sri Krishna, that's why he's running with the will, as you can see. So we'll move ahead. So a few verses that I selected today are from 12.8 to 12.12. So these verses actually, as we can see, very nicely explains how the progressive stages of devotional service are, or devotion are. So we can see 12.8 is about the topmost. It's a direct service to Lord Krishna. It's direct devotion to Lord Krishna. So that's why it's placed on the top. And as we see, Krishna is in the spiritual world, and also like he kind of seeing here from top to bottom approach. He's telling what is the kind of topmost, then he's saying if we cannot perform the topmost, then what to perform, and then. So we see 12.8 is about fixing our mind in Krishna, and the result we'll achieve is we'll live in relationship with Krishna if we are able to achieve that. And then 12.9 verse explains how we can follow the regulative principles of sadhana bhakti. And the result we'll get is we'll develop a desire to attain Krishna, and then ultimately reach to 12.8, which is we'll constantly think about Krishna via our mind and intelligence. Then if we go a little down, then we see that it is about working for Krishna, about 12.10. So Krishna is saying, okay, you cannot follow regulative principles of sadhana bhakti also, then just work for me. So what will the result be? We'll come to the stage of devotional service slowly. We'll go to the next stage by performing work for Krishna for a certain amount of time. And then we see that 12.12 and 12.11 I put together because 12.11 is actually is derived from 12.12, because 12 to 12 is specifically talking about the cultivation of knowledge, then meditation, then renunciation, all it is being spoke about. And 12 to 11 is actually explaining how we can reach to that stage of cultivation of knowledge through kind of, sacrificing, using various sacrifices that are mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, or doing some good things in which we kind of, don't keep any intention of profit or desire to have something. We do it just for, the sake of sacrifice. So we'll see that later a little bit more on how that leads to cultivation of knowledge. So what will be the result? We'll get purification, we'll get peace, and then we'll gradually elevate towards the next stages, which is we'll elevate to work for Krishna, then start following regulative principles of sadhana bhakti, which is devotional service under a guru, and then finally we'll be able to fix our mind on Krishna 24 hours, which is the goal of devotional service, thinking about Krishna always. So we will start from 12.8. So Ashimada Prabhu, I will stop sharing. Would you please share 12.8? Thank you, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, will you be able to read?
Yes, Prabhu, you want me to read what, the translation or the verse?
Prabhu, verse, then translation, and then purport.
So the verse 12.8. Mai eva mana adatsva mai buddhim niveshaya nivashyashi mai eva ata urdhvam na shamshaya. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so, although this is a process recommended in the Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures.
Thank you, Prabhu. So as you can see in this 12.8, actually, we are starting our process, where we can see performing devotional service, just by thinking exclusively of Lord Krishna. So some themes which I extracted is fixing our mind upon Lord Krishna, then engaging all our intelligence in him, and then so if we are doing all this, so what benefit will achieve? The benefit is we'll live in Krishna always. So, few things from the purport we see. First thing is the devotees. They are actually, transcendental, this type of devotees from the very beginning, because they live in Krishna and they have no doubt. So actually, Prabhupada mentions about direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So that is only possible when somebody is performing devotional service 24 hours, always thinking of Krishna and always using his intelligence to read Krishna conscious literatures, discuss about Krishna. So that way, Prabhupada actually mentioned two processes here we see. One is chanting the holy name, because a holy name and Krishna are non-different. And that's why when we chant the holy name, Prabhupada mentions that Krishna actually dances on our tongue. And then also Prabhupada mentions about honoring prasadam. So it's very important because prasadam is none other than Krishna. So when we have prasadam, we become Krishnaized, we become Krishna conscious. Easy process, chant and then have prasadam. Then also this this purport mentions about service, right? That when we perform devotional service, we get realizations. So we can see, sometimes we think, right? I have this thing sometimes. I mean, how I'm doing with my progress in Krishna consciousness. I'm not seeing much progress, I think sometimes. Probably I can progress more. So, but one thing is there, which is I can perform service whenever I want. And if I perform in service, then I am on the path of achieving, remembrance of Krishna and then thinking about Krishna. Because when I'm doing some service for Krishna, I have to think about him. There's no other way, because this is done for Krishna. So that will remind me every minute at least, the goal, what is the goal of my service? And if I get distracted, for example, sometimes when I do get distracted while doing some service, but then I remember, oh, it's Krishna, and then it's for Krishna. So then I bring my mind back. So that's why service is very important. And so also, the process is mentioned actually in scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, then Srimad Bhagavatam. So, if we also don't read these literatures thoroughly, then also it's difficult actually to understand what is the importance of service, and then how service helps us to have deeper realizations of Krishna. So we see Janmashtami is coming. So ISB temple is celebrating in a huge way. We're expecting more than 10,000 devotees, and there are a lot of service opportunities which are coming. So all of us can take opportunity of performing those services and remember Krishna all through the Janmashtami period. So that's something. And also one other aspect is here, 2 points are mentioned, like how we can think about Krishna through our mind, which is fixing our mind, on Krishna, and then also fixing our intelligence. So mind, it says, Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur used to say that beating the mind in the morning and then in the evening. So it's about, controlling the mind. More is studying something about Krishna in the morning or doing meditation. This all helps actually to remember Krishna. And at night also, Prabhupada recommends reading Krishna book. So that way we can, take care of our mind, and also we can take care of our intelligence, which when we read scriptures, we think about it. And then that, that's mentioned actually mananatmika bhakti, so when we fix our intelligence, and that way, we will think about Krishna, and then we'll be able to use our intelligence. And then fixing mind is mentioned by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur as Saranatmika Bhakti. So that way we are remembering Krishna in our mind. Okay, so we will go to the next verse. So let's see. Tilokini, will you be able to read the next verse?
Yes.
Thank you.
Text 9. Atha chittam samadhatum na shaknosi mayi sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mam ichchaptum dhananjaya. My dear Arjun, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulatory principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, two different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated. The first applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by transcendental love. And the other is for one who has not developed an attachment for the Supreme Person by transcendental love. For this second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations one can follow to be ultimately elevated to the stage of attachment to Krishna. Bhakti Yoga is the purification of the senses. At the present moment in material existence, the senses are always impure, being engaged in sense gratification. But by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, these senses can become purified. And in the purified state, they come directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. In this material existence, I may be engaged in some service to some master, but I don't really lovingly serve my master. I simply serve to get some money, and the master also is not in love. He takes service from me and pays me. So there is no question of love. But for spiritual life, one must be elevated to the pure stage of love. That stage of love can be achieved by practice of devotional service performed with the present senses. This love of God is now in a dormant state in everyone's heart, and their love of God is manifested in different ways, but it is contaminated by material association. Now, the heart has to be purified of the material association, and that dormant natural love for Krishna has to be revived. That is the whole process. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple, and offer prayers and chant Hare Krishna. Then collect flowers to offer to the deities, cook foodstuffs to offer to the deities, take prasadam, and so on. There are various rules and regulations which one should follow, and one should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help anyone rise to the level of love of God, and then he is sure of his progress into spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of Bhakti Yoga under the rules and regulations with the direction of a spiritual master will surely bring one to the stage of love of God. You are muted.
Sorry, yeah. So in this purport, we can see how sadhana bhakti and the importance of sadhana bhakti is mentioned by Prabhupada. And also Krishna mentions that if you cannot perform continuous remembrance of me via your mind and intelligence, then take resort of performing this sadhana bhakti or regulative principle of bhakti yoga. And then what is the benefit? That will develop a desire to attain Krishna. So this is very difficult, we can see, because we have desires, but then we have material desires also. At least I have. So sometimes, I feel like end of the day when I think, where is Krishna? I think about Krishna when I was kind of in probably engrossed in probably office work or some other activities, not always. So, but through performing this devotional service, Krishna assures that I will develop a desire to attain him. So that's why it's very important to perform sadhana bhakti under regulative principles and also guidance of a guru. So we can see that 12.9 is actually about fixing our mind, on Krishna using Abhash Yoga. So here we see that Bhakti Yoga actually purify our senses. And then though we are engaged in sense gratification, but through devotional service, our senses get a direct contact with the Supreme Lord, and that's why they get purified. So that way we achieve this platform of pure love slowly by performing and practicing devotional service under the guidance of Guru. And then what happens? We achieve the stage of pure love of God, Prabhupada is mentioning. So when you practice devotional service with our senses, at some point we'll attain pure love of God. So that's so important, right? The goal of devotional service is to attain pure love of God. It is mentioned in Bhakti Samrita Sindhu, there are 8 stages. And then after bhava, then comes, prema. which is love for God. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned, Nitya Krishna Prem Sabda Kavanai Sravanadi Suddha Chitte Karoho Uday. We'll have to listen to pure devotees, and then we'll have to serve them. That way our mind will get purified, and then we will be able to achieve the stage of love of God. Also, another expression is, our heart is contaminated now by material association, but when you follow these regulative principles of devotional service, like Prabhupada mentions, like rising early, then entering the temple and offering prayers, chanting Hare Krishna. And he also mentions about offering flowers to the deities, then cooking for the deities, then honoring prasadam, and then reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. That way we'll be able to achieve our desired goal. So what is the qualification? So, actually, it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the qualification is laulam, which is desire. So if any of us has desire, all of us can practice this. And then the success actually will be guaranteed, as Prabhupada mentioned. So another thing I would like to mention about, like, this is a Ubhash yoga. So we'll have to perform this practice every day. Same like we are doing 16 rounds chanting as initiated devotees, or those who are aspiring, they're chanting a regulated number of rounds. And, then that way, when we perform this kind of fixed number of rounds, then slowly increase to 16 rounds. And then when we chant, and also at the same time, we follow the 4 regulative principles, which is no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling, that gradually develops us actually, and then that helps us to achieve that kind of purity and also that calmness in mind. I mean, we slowly go to Sattva Guna, and in Sattva Guna is actually easier to perform devotional service because mind is not disturbed. So we'll have to keep practicing. It's difficult because material world, the 3 modes are working, and sometimes a specific mode can overcome us, like passion, or sometimes when it can be ignorance, like when I'm sleeping, I'm in ignorance. And then sometimes when I'm lazy, I'm feeling sleepy, I'm in ignorance. So that's why normally if we don't have the regulated practice, we find it really difficult, so mind is kind of very fickle. So if we want to control the mind, then, Krishna mentions about that, that we'll have to perform devotional service. And that way, through practice, we can keep the mind, under control, and we can engage the mind in remembering Krishna, thinking of Krishna. I think we'll move on to the next one, 12.10. Okay, so I will read the next verse. 12.10. Abhyase api asamatasi matkarma paramo bhava mad artham api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsasi. Translation: if you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So if we see the synonyms here, a little so the synonyms, if we see, it says abhyasha, in practice. Then it says karmani, work. Then siddhim, will achieve perfection. So we'll have to perform these regulations of Bhakti Yoga. But if we cannot, is mentioning, if we cannot perform regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, probably there are some problems, which we'll see later in purport. Prabhupada mentions like what kind of obstacles can be there in performing regulative principles of devotional service. Then he's asking just to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Purport by Srila Prabhupada: one who is not able even to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of spiritual master can still be drawn to this perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Law. How to do this work has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter. Can you take a look, Prabhu, at that verse? 11th chapter, 55th verse. So that's a very nice verse, actually. We're just gonna open up and we'll just discuss a little bit. Yeah. Mat karma krin mat parama mat bhakta sangha varjita nirvaira sarva bhuteshu yashama mite pandava. Translation: My dear Arjun, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Yeah, Prabhu. So we can see here how by engaging in Lord Krishna's pure devotional service, we get free from the contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation. And then when we work in this sense, making Lord Krishna the supreme goal, and then we also understand that we have to be friendly with every living entity, especially with devotees, and then also not only devotees, like all living entities, they are part and parcel of the Lord. So that's why we'll have to be friendly to everyone, like not doing animal killing or himsa. So actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that if we are not propagating Krishna consciousness, then we are performing actually, enmity. Actually, we are kind of not being friendly to the living beings. So obviously we'll have to understand time, place, and circumstances, and that way we'll have to, tell about Krishna to others. But we'll have to do it at least as devotees, because if we are not doing it, then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said actually we are, we are not being actually kind and friendly to the living entities. So Krishna assures that we'll come to him. Prabhu, can you go back to the previous verse? Yeah, so one should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There are many devotees who are engaged in the propagation of Krishna consciousness, and they require help. So even if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business, one requires a place to stay, some capital to use, some labor, and some organization to expand. So the same is required in the service of Krishna. The only difference is that in materialism, one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is spiritual activity. If one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna consciousness, or he can help with publications. There are various fields of activity, and one should be interested in such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the results of his activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one to rise to a higher state of love for God, whereupon one becomes perfect. So actually, as you see in Bhagavad Gita 5.29 also Krishna mentions it, that Bhoktaram Yagatapusham Sarvaloka Mahesharam Suridam Sarvabhutanam Dhyapamam Shantim Richati. So what is saying that, if we are in full consciousness of Krishna, and knowing him that he's the ultimate beneficiary, like of all kinds of sacrifices and austerities, and then he's also the supreme lord of all planets, then all demigods. So, and then also he's the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. Then we can achieve peace, from these pangs of material existence. It's called like Tritap, Jala in Bengali it's called. That means, through Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, and Adhatik, forces, the material nature is actually punishing us, because we are not thinking of Krishna. We are engaged in material activities. So that's why nature is giving us, Mayadev is giving us pain through this, three ways. So one other thing about this specific verse, so 12.10, if we see, it's actually, it's a little bit external, right? It's telling about how to engage in bhakti with external senses. So 12.8, 12.9 is mentioning actually how to engage our, internally, how to engage using the mind intelligence, right? But 12.10 is specifically about how to use our external senses, which is doing something for Krishna. So that way, we can, be responsible, doing something. And it's Prabhupada mentioned, right? There can be different reasons that we are not able to perform, devotional service. Probably, there can be some, problem with us, or probably we have social views, or like we have religious obligations for which we cannot openly practice. But Prabhupada is mentioning, just be sympathetic to this propagation of Krishna consciousness, help in some way. Like Prabhupada's time, I was actually, when reading Prabhupada Lilamrit, I saw how he established the 4 major temples, right? One in Vrindavan, which is the Radha Shyam and the Krishna Balaram temple. And then in Juhu, Prabhupada established one other temple. Then he established one temple in Mayapur, right? So was there one other temple? Can somebody remind me if there was a 4th temple that Prabhupada also established? I think there was 4, but I don't recall right now. What is the 4th temple? Ashramada Prabhu, Kaladev Prabhu, do you remember what is the 4th temple? Okay, maybe it's some.
Sorry, why I missed the first part. You mentioned 3 temples, but what was the question? Like which 4 temples?
Actually, Prabhupada established 4 major temples in India during his time. So one was Krishna Balaram temple. Another temple was the Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir, and then one was the Juhu temple, and I think there was one other temple, but I'm not recalling that. Probably. Okay.
I know that Prabhupada inspired His Holiness Gaur Gobind Sai Maharaj to establish a temple in Bhubaneswar, where he stayed also for some time, but it did not manifest to full extent at the time. He stayed there for 9 days in a thatched hut, right, in that temple area. Yeah.
Okay.
And he also, I don't know whether he, at that time, that Udupi temple in Hyderabad, I don't know whether that was just a farm or that was a temple he wanted to establish. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, you're right. That was a farm at the temple. It's not a temple at the time. The Hyderabad, he has many lectures in that farm community. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So see, even for establishing a temple, we need land, right? We cannot build a temple on the air. Then we need money, and then we need labor, like, so actually those probably who are not practicing devotional service actively under the guidance of a guru, got initiated, and then, but then there are opportunities for them also. Actually, probably they're not able to come to temple, or not able to kind of engage in devotional service directly. They can help with the propagation of Krishna consciousness, like helping the preaching work by donating Lakshmi, or like helping to build these temples. Like our ISKCON in ISB is looking for actually to go to a bigger place, right? So then we'll need a lot of support from all of the members, congregation members, so that way everyone can come and help. And then also helping in book distribution, then publication. BBT is doing huge work, and then of continuously kind of providing Srila Prabhupada's books for distributing, so we can help with donating in different occasions. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's marathon is a big marathon in our ISV, and then there are other marathons like Janmashtami, and for each major festival ISB has a marathon, so we can help with those marathons by Lakshmi, or by engaging in book distribution, or helping in some way. So so then Krishna is saying, just come to at least this level, that if you cannot perform the sacrifices which are mentioned, or you cannot sacrifice all of the results, like all of your money you cannot donate, just do a little bit, some percentage. Actually, Prabhupada mentioned that we should, actually Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, he used to kind of ask his disciples, Vyasa disciples, to submit at least 50% of their earning for maintaining the Gauriya Mata. And we can say Prabhupada also quoted that, the ideal is, giving 50%, but if we cannot give that, at least some percentage. So that would be really great. Because giving Lakshmi is the most difficult thing, actually, as Bhashya Prabhu says, because we'll have to give, but then we feel good when we help. So there's so many ways we can help, actually, to propagate Krishna consciousness, to establish temple. And that way we can engage our external senses, actually, to work for Krishna. And then also, we can see that by doing that, just we kind of become free, actually, and we progress. We get the desire to go to the next stage, which is perform a regulated devotional service. So these are all interconnected. So we'll go to 12.11. Before that, I would just, ask if any of you want to share anything. We have esteemed Devotional Ekalavi Prabhu, then Asramada Prabhu, then we have Mayank Prabhu, and then Shweta Mataji, Tulokini.
Yeah, in the Zoom, whoever are there, if they can share something while I go and check online if someone has posted any comments.
I think this is a very important verse you chose, Prabhu. It's very relevant. I think even though this chapter starts with the special universal form, but it ends with a very important verse, and that is kind of a precursor of the next chapter.
Yes.
It's like the pure devotional service, right? Bhakti Yoga. It comes in the next chapter. So I can recall about this chapter in our Hindu religion text. Many verses used to appear from this chapter because this gives a very broad idea about the Supreme Absolute Truth. And it can be interpreted in many ways, even in impersonal conception, personal conception, as a super soul. Everybody can say, okay, universal form represent everything. So I think there was a special inclination or predilection of the selectors or the editors to select verses from this chapter. That's why I learned many verses from this chapter, even though they may not be, directly expressing the concept of bhakti. Yeah, mostly the supremacy of the absolute truth or his all-pervasiveness, those kind of things. But after reading Srila Prabhupada's books and hearing lectures from senior devotees, yeah, this chapter is also very important. Verses, every verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is important. But we see that there are more verses from other chapters which directly speak about pure devotional service and the relationship of the devotee and the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. So yeah, it's a very interesting chapter. Tongue twisting verses are there, but the last verse is kind of, concluding that actually it's talking about surrendering unto Krishna. Right? So it's very, very beautiful choice, I should say. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Is there anything in Zoom, Ashramada Prabhu?
No, in Zoom actually you just now heard, but Facebook and YouTube, yeah, we don't have any comments there. But 12th chapter, as Koladev Prabhu was saying, right? And that is what many impersonalists also have done, right? So they kind of, interpret these verses in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But Srila Prabhupada's purports actually makes it very clear that, what Krishna is trying to say is that the stages below, because you are associating with the people of higher stages, like for example, right, when you are working for Krishna, Krishna is not there, right? So when you are working for Krishna means what? You are working for Krishna's devotees who are propagating Krishna consciousness, they are following regulative principles, and they are happy. So you start thinking that ultimate goal in life is happiness, and these people, they don't have anything and they're still happy, right? So why I should work so hard? Let me also follow regulative principles, right? And then when the people who are following regulative principles, they come in association with the, the devotees who are in Raganuga path, right? And they say, ultimate goal is not really, following all these strict principles, but to immerse yourself in the consciousness of Krishna, right? So they go to the next stage, right? So Krishna is, very nicely, just, and he's not saying that this is the only way. That is the wonderful thing about Krishna, right? This chapter actually illustrates that Krishna is all merciful. He's not saying this is the only way you can come to me, right? For all kinds of people, he's giving, the ways by which they can come to him. That is the all merciful aspect, right, of Krishna. It's very clearly in this. And you have selected those right verses, Prabhu, which sort of thank you for that, that those right verses and those right set of verses, which explains that all merciful characters of Krishna, right? He's not rejecting everyone. No one left behind.
All accommodating, right?
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the nice realization. Thank you, Kaladi Prabhu, for the excellent realization as usual. So, so we can see, right, in 12:10, he said, we can work for Krishna, and what is the benefit that will come to the perfect stage, which is, performing sadhana bhakti. That is the perfection of working for Krishna external, with using external ways, external senses, or other external resources. So then let's go to 12:11. Prabhu, can you please share 12:11? So who else wants to read? I think Kaladi Prabhu. Prabhu, will you be willing to read Kaladi Prabhu, or you are engaged?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
अथैतद् अप्याशक्तासि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलोत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्. Do you read synonyms or only translation?
Prabhu, up to you.
Okay, so I can read translation. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Purport. It may be that one is unable even to sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments. If one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections from family members or so many other difficulties. For one who has such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activities to some good cause. Such procedures are described in the Vedic rules. There are many descriptions of sacrifices and special functions for the full moon day, and there is a special work in which the result of one's previous action may be applied. Thus, one may gradually become elevated to the stage of knowledge. It is also found that when one who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other social institution, he gives up the hard-earned results of his activities. That is also recommended here, because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind gradually. And that purified stage of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. Of course, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any other experience, because Krishna consciousness itself can purify one's mind. But if there are impediments to accepting Krishna consciousness, one may try to give up the results of his actions. In that respect, social service, community service, national service, sacrifice for one's country, etc., may be accepted so that someday one may come to the stage of pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 18:46, we find it is stated, Yata pravrittir bhutanam, if one decides to sacrifice for the Supreme Cause, even if he does not know that the Supreme Cause is Krishna, he will come gradually to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Cause by the sacrificial method. Hare Krishna. You are mute, Prabhu, you are mute.
Yeah, so we can see here that somebody cannot work even in consciousness of Krishna, like they cannot help with preaching activities, or they cannot help with Krishna consciousness, like building temple and other activities, then what to do? So Krishna is actually accommodating this kind of situations also. So it's saying that then just give up all the results of the work that you're doing and be self-situated. Just renounce the results, which is kind of very famous. This is kind of is very famous in Hindu communities, as Bhagavad Gita is actually saying, abandon the results of your work. Don't think about the results. And actually, I kind of when I was giving my matriculation exam, then actually I heard this actually a lot. You don't need to be too much worried. Just give your exam and leave it up to Krishna, which is good in some way. So. But then what is the purpose of doing sacrifice? We'll see that. So what is the hope that Krishna is mentioning for this type of people? That doing the sacrifices of this like accumulated results, just for some good cause, maybe some social good cause. So actually some procedures are given, right? As we have read in Vedic literature, like doing yagyas and then some punya karmas, there are different like charity, which is a very, essential activity. So charity is always appreciated, and Krishna also mentions in Bhagavad Gita that some things like he says few things shouldn't be abandoned. One of them is charity. So how this helps somebody will gradually elevate actually to the state of knowledge where we will be able to perform that cultivation of knowledge. And what are the phases of that knowledge? We'll see in actual 12.12. They are very nicely mentioned how from cultivation of knowledge will go to meditation, then from other processes. So some examples Prabhupada mentions, as you see, is like doing some charity to hospitals or social institutions, right, where we give this hard-earned money. And then, in that way, gradually we'll be able to, have that enough punya karma to understand Krishna consciousness. It's actually sometimes we think that we just came in the movement. Yeah, we have mercy actually from our spiritual masters and from our instructional spiritual masters, and then our Diksha Gurus. But then at the same time, actually it's said that, since those who are chanting the holy name, it is mentioned actually in the little Vedic literature that they have already performed all the sacrifices and austerities. So, it's just indication that it's not easy actually to chant the holy name. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can see that like when Gadadhar, Das wanted to make the Kaji chant, he had to trick the Kaji to chant. He, asked him, please say Krishna. Kaji said, I'll tell Krishna tomorrow. He said, you already said about Krishna. So that's the thing. It's not easy to chant the name of the Lord. So, but whatever impediments is coming, for Krishna consciousness, like from family or for social cause. So in that case, you can perform these charitable works, for society, community, and national service. Krishna is saying, at least do that, just being self-centered and selfish, do something in which you kind of give something away without desiring anything in return. So that way, what happens, if we see Bhagavad Gita 18.46, Prabhu, will you be able to open up Bhagavad Gita 18.46? Yeah, so what it is mentioned actually, if you see, yeah. So here we see Yata Prabhritir Bhuta Namyana Sharbamidam Tatam Swakarmana Tam Apyacha Siddhim Vindati Manava. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. So we'll have to do our own work, and we'll have to worship the Lord, understanding he's the source of all beings and he's all pervading. And that way we can attain perfection. So that is kind of the process that Krishna is suggesting to accommodate those type of persons who cannot actively perform devotional service or help in Krishna consciousness. So then we'll go to text 12.12, which is kind of the last one. So anybody who's present would like to read, Shweta or Mayank Prabhu? Shweta Mataji or Mayank Prabhu? Okay, then probably I can read 12 to 12.
You want me to read, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else is Shweta Mataji, I think said she can read. Is it Mataji?
Yeah, Shweta Mataji, if she wants to read.
Yeah, I'm Shweta. Shall I read the translation?
I can read the verse for you, then you can read the translation and purport, Mataji.
Okay, or I can try reading the verse.
Sure, please go ahead.
In Sanskrit, right?
Yes.
Okay. Shreyo hi jnanamabhyasadnya. I'm sorry. I will let you read.
Yeah, sometimes, as Quality Pro is saying, some parts are really tongue twister. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasaj jnanadhyanam vishishpate dhyanat karma phala tyagash tyagajvanti anantaram. Translation. Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action, for by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind.
Yeah, please read the purport.
Okay. As mentioned in the previous verses, there are two kinds of devotional service: the way of regulative principles and the way of full attachment in love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those who are actually not able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, it is better to cultivate knowledge, because by knowledge one can be able to understand his real position. Gradually, knowledge will develop to the point of meditation. By meditation, one can be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by gradual process. In the cultivation of knowledge, there are processes which make one understand that one himself is the supreme, and that sort of meditation is preferred if one is unable to engage in devotional service. If one is not able to meditate in such a way, then there are prescribed duties as enjoined in the Vedic literature for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaisyas, and Sudras, which we shall find in the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. But in all cases, one should give up the result or fruits of labor. This means to employ the result of karma for some good cause. In summary, to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal, there are two processes. One process is by gradual development, and the other process is direct. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the direct method, and the other method involves renouncing the fruits of one's activities. Then one can come to the stage of knowledge, then to the stage of meditation, then to the stage of understanding the super soul, and then to the stage of Supreme Personality of Godhead. One may take either the step-by-step process or the direct path. The direct process is not possible for everyone, therefore, the indirect process is also good. It is, however, to be understood that the indirect process is not recommended for Arjuna, because he is already at the stage of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. It is for others who are not at this stage. For them, the gradual process of renunciation, knowledge, meditation, and realization of the super soul and Brahman should be followed. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, it is direct method that is stressed. Everyone is advised to take the direct method and surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah,
So,
sorry if I miss out on something or didn't pronounce it correctly.
no, it was good. Thank you. Yeah, you were okay. You're all right. So we can see, right? First comes abhyasa, which is performing activities, but from abhyasa, which is like doing the kind of same type of services probably over and over. But apart from abhyasa, we see that there is something superior, which is jnana, cultivation of knowledge, and above jnana is dhyana, which is meditation. And if and then if dhyana, actually Krishna mentions like this: if you cannot perform this, using external senses for my service, which is mentioned in 12.10, then you try to cultivate knowledge. If you cannot even do that, then do meditation. And if you cannot do meditation, then at least try to renounce something for me. So we can see here that this cultivation of knowledge, it's actually mentioned here as Brahma Gyan, right? Because this knowledge, when we know that the soul is different from the body, it's talking about that type of knowledge, not like knowledge about how to become a kind of good chess player, or how to kind of become more adept in something material. It's not about that. It's about knowledge about Brahman. And then it's mentioned that if from knowledge, meditation is better. Because why? By doing yogic meditation, we will realize the super soul. But then from this meditation, renouncing the fruits of action is better. Why? By renouncing the fruit, because we'll achieve peace of mind. So as you see in Purport, Prabhupada mentions two kinds of devotional service, right? One is that regulatory principle, and then another is, which is through regulatory principle, and another is through full attachment in love of Godhead, which is kind of going into thinking about the Lord through mind and intelligence all the time, which normally happens actually when we go to the bhava stage, or love of Godhead we achieve. So this cultivation of knowledge, can be, as I mentioned, related to Brahman realization. But then through this, what we'll understand that we are a soul. We are part of the supreme and living, supreme Brahman. And that will actually encourage us to perform meditation, because then we'll try to think about the Lord. So two processes mentioned here, which is, one is, Prabhupada mentioned that you can think, that you are the supreme, but then again he mentioned, which is like merging into the Brahma. But he said that sort of meditation is preferred only you are unable to engage in devotional service. But now by Prabhupada's mercy, we already have the opportunity to engage in devotional service through ISKCON, and then through reading Bhagavad Gita as it is. So why we should take that indirect approach? Also, Krishna mentioned that those who takes to this process, they are not intelligent actually. Because why? Because it's very troublesome, this process of impersonal realization. One has to perform a lot of austerity, which is not possible actually in Kali Yuga. So that's why he said, just directly become attached to me and my devotional service. But there are some people who are even unable to meditate in this way also. So that for them, Krishna actually encouraged and then emphasized performing the duties of varnas. Obviously, varnashram everyone would have to follow. Even in ISKCON, we have Daiva varnashram, we follow somewhere or other. So varnashram everyone has to follow, but those who are not able to engage in meditation, then for them, Lord Krishna is saying, just do varnashram properly, because by perfecting your varnashram system, you will develop that capacity to go, in higher levels, like to get situated, in Krishna, and then also to progress in Krishna consciousness at some point. By when you perform varnashram, then when you get perfected, you go to heavenly planets, you come back. But then Krishna said, at least engage in performing varnashram correctly, so that you get, because if you perform varnashram correctly, you will know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and then you will know that it's important to serve him. So all these realizations will come. So that's why it's mentioned, Krishna mentioned that renouncing the fruits, that's actually better than meditation. Why? Because, we see in the yoga ladder, Karma Yoga actually in the lowest, then comes, the other yogas, right? Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. But still Krishna says, this Karma Yoga or renouncing fruits, for Krishna is better than meditation or Dhyana Yoga. Why? Because this process is more practical. And it actually, when we are performing meditation, sometimes the mind can be disturbed, right? Because this type of meditation, actually it says that Prabhupada mentions actually in purport for Bhagavad Gita in Dhyana Yoga, probably how to perform this. You'll have to go to a secluded place, probably in a forest, and then you have to wear certain kinds of barks, and then you'll have to perform certain ways, of like there are 8 there are 8 steps to achieve samadhi and then realize the Paramatma in Dhyana Yoga process. So this is very troublesome. Not even Arjuna said, I cannot do that. So how about us? I mean, we are already tormented by so many things in current world, wars, then famines, then politics, even inside office, outside office. So where's time for such meditation? So that's why Krishna actually says that Karma Yoga is the best process to follow. And so I think actually Acharyas, they mentioned pretty, like Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, when he was giving commentary on these verses, he actually gave commentary based on devotional service only. Like each verse he mentioned related to devotional service. Even like this last verse, he says cultivation of knowledge is actually cultivating knowledge about Krishna. And then he also mentions that just by performing this type of process like meditation and cultivation of knowledge, renounce for Krishna, he's saying. And I think that way, Baladev Buddha also, they are actually giving focus on devotional service, because this is the best process. If we have the gem, then why we look for some, like crystals or that type of stones? So that's the thing. So I will just open up my slide to say a few, should present a few more things before we kind of open up for this a little bit more discussion. Is it okay? Prabhu, can I share?
Yes, Prabhu, you can share.
Yes, let me share my screen. Okay. Just a minute. Sometimes it gets something. Yeah. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen. Yeah, Prabhu, is it visible?
Yes, Prabhu, we can see your desktop screen.
Yes, I will just play from current slide. Yeah. So we are discussing this progressive stage, right? Like how 12.8 is highest, then 12.9, and 12.10, 12.11, then 12.12. So 12.11, as I said, is about cultivation of knowledge, which is kind of the end goal by renouncing for some good cause. Well, that is also included in 12.12. So 12.12 is more kind of accommodating meditation, renunciation. The result will be purification, peace, and then gradual elevation to the next stage. So let's go. I would like to see one other verse, which is Vaktaram Yagya Tapasham Sarvaloka Maheswaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Yadmamam Santim Richati. So which we already discussed, right? So which is called the kind of peace formula. It's mentioned. By performing devotional service, we can attain peace. And then also Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7 mentions Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asuvairagam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahaitukam. So it mentions that by rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can immediately acquire causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So this cultivation of knowledge, meditation, and renunciation actually all comes if we perform devotional service. We don't have to artificially or endeavor for that. So if we go to the next phase, so see, we have Janmashtami coming and there are preparations going on. Our Janmashtami planning team is working to arrange the services for the devotees. It's kind of one of the major festivals we have. So how to apply these lessons that we have learned? So many ways, right? We can use 12.8, which is we can just sit in the class, hear Vaishnav Prabhu and Giriraj Maharaj. That way we'll be able to think about Krishna all the time, right? And then about engaging and performing devotional service. If we attend the Mangalarti, then we'll perform our, our chanting with all, and that way we'll also, attend the classes that we will perform in regulative devotional principles. We're hearing from Vaisheshika Prabhu, then Giriraj Maharaj, and then 12.10, right, which is external work. So we can just donate, right, for the Janmashtami. All of us I know are donating for Janmashtami, and that way we give some Lakshmi for Krishna's purpose, that we work, use our external senses and resources also to help. And also we can perform service. So many services are there. And if some of you, one service, then, please reach out to Hamshipya Mataji or, the coordinators. So that way you like Nitai Prabhu and others. So that way you'll be engaged. And then how about 12.11 and 12? So, these are some processes like meditation, cultivation of knowledge, renouncing of all these are actually involved in devotional service. So that we are engaging actually just by engaging Janmashtami festival, and then the next is Prabhupada Vash Puja, Prabhupada's appearance day. So that way we'll be able to apply these lessons that we have learned by Prabhupada's mercy and the previous Acharya's mercy. So as it is Janmashtami coming on, on I think Friday's Janmashtami, then we have all the celebrations coming after that. So just wanted to talk a little bit about Lord Krishna doesn't need to appear in the material world, but he even does so. And behind every avatar there is reason why he's appearing. So for Krishna is main reasons is only one actually, which is giving pleasure to his devotees. That's the main purpose. But then there are other purposes also. Vinashaya Chadushkritam, which is killing the demons and those who are committing heinous activities, increasing the load of Mother Earth. Like he actually, engaged like the Pandavas in the Kurukshetra war, and then the Kauravas, and many actually many kings and emperors from emperors, Parikshit, many kings actually joined different parties. But as we see, all of them were killed actually, apart from the 5 Pandavas. They were only spared, and then few other like Kripacharya, Ashwatthama, and then Kritavarma, few of them are spared. In Pandava side also, as we see, except the 5 Pandavas, everyone was killed. So that's how Lord Krishna actually does, kill those who are doing sinful activities, and that way he reduced the kind of burden of Mother Earth. Mother Earth cried actually to Lord Brahma that, I'm getting too much burdened by these mighty warriors. And then he didn't even spare his own family, the Yadu family, the Yadus, because they were also becoming intoxicated with pride and power. So he managed actually so that the Yadu dynasty also gets, kind of, I wouldn't say destroyed, but it's more like he kind of made arrangements so that, they cannot, create this type of burden on earth because of the excessive power. My apology. And that way he so I have to get some water. So we see that way he actually did that, and then Dharma Samsthapanarthaya, he established Dharma, he established Yudhishthira Maharaj as the reigning emperor of the whole world, and he made him do some Ashwamedha sacrifices, and then that way he established Dharma. So these are secondary activities. Main purpose is to give pleasure to the devotees and also to inspire the living entities by his pastimes, his appearance, and then his pastimes in Vrindavan, pastimes in Mathura, in Dwarka, in Hastinapur, everywhere, to just attract the mind of the conditioned soul so that we can feel natural attraction for Krishna, and then we become devoted to him. We take shelter of Krishna, and especially the pure devotees of Krishna who are preaching this message of Krishna consciousness. And that way we take shelter of them, and that's the purpose of Krishna's appearance, main reason. Also, let's see if anything else is missing. Yeah, I think I covered most part. Let me see if I'm not, I think I'm not sharing anymore. Is it, Prabhu? Am I still sharing, or you cannot see?
Prabhu, you are sharing your desktop.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I would just thank all of you online and also who joined the Zoom meeting, like Kalavi Prabhu and Ashramada Prabhu, Shetamataji, Mayang Prabhu, making time from their busy schedule. And I would like open it up, like if somebody has any other realization or any questions or like anything you want to share, please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Asra Madhav Das Prabhu. I would just like to share that you brought this at a very right moment on 19th of this month on Friday. There is going to be full day celebration at ISKCON of Silicon Valley at Mountain View, 1965 Latham Street, Mountain View, California. And there will be service. There will be service before that also. If you're interested, please do come and give service. We are going to decorate the temples. There will be parking service. There will be Jhulan service. There's so many services you can do and come closer to Lord Krishna. That's what I would like to share. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anything else? Any other question or realization or chastisement?
No, this was very, you picked up very nice verses and connected with, the 19th August. We have this celebration on this Friday. You connected very nicely with that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Kaladi Prabhu, you have anything else for us?
Thank you, Prabhu. Actually, I was, half engaged babysitting Mandali because one thing is out of that's why I could not put complete attention, but it was really nice. I really appreciate that how you connected to the practical aspect of the the lessons we learned from today's discussion, especially with the Janmashtami services and Shravan Kirtan and also donation. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, Prabhu, if there is no online question or reflection, is there any in Facebook or Zoom? Just cross-checking.
Yeah, no, I just checked just now checked. I will check again Facebook and.
Yeah, that's fine, Prabhu. We are already over time. So
yes.
Probably we can end. Is it by all of your permission?
8:30. Yeah, 8:30 is the end time.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for joining. Happy Janmashtami to all of you. Hope to see you in the temple. And let us kind of think about Lord Krishna and then prepare for this biggest festival of the year in ISKCON of Silicon Valley. All of you are invited, as Ashramada Prabhu mentioned. Thank you, everyone, for whatever service you are doing. Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Aniruddh Nitai Chat Prabhu ki jai.
Dipram Prabhu, Ashramada Prabhu ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. We'll end the session now.